Belief in yourself is going to take you further than any gym program, any workout, any advice you watch, any video you watch. It is truly the self-belief you have in yourself and the belief that you will make that happen. And I have proof, guys. Okay, so I always like to share my personal antidotes. I feel like it helps me relate to my audience a little bit more, so that's what I'm gonna do. So for context, I grew up in a very abusive, psychologically, emotionally, physically, spiritually, if you guys believe in that, abusive household, and it's hard. Yeah, I'm processing that right now. Yeah, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. So I spent most of my life, you know, being abused. I think for me personally, 2020 was probably the worst year for me. It was COVID. I was not only isolated, but I was waking up to the abuse and then going to sleep being abused as well. So it was like a constant cycle. I think the only thing that was my coping mechanism, because mind you, my iPad, tablet, anything to contact the outer world was taken away from me. Dinner at one point, so food, and I was just kind of stuck in my room, so I didn't have a lot, so I just kind of slept a lot, and I was very isolated, and I went a little bit, you know, crazy as someone in my situation would do, and I started drawing tally marks on the walls. So tally marks are a little bit symbolic to me, because I literally thought I was in prison, and the type of abuse that I would face every day was kind of different, so I didn't know, you know, what was in store for me the next day. So it was a very scary situation. So there was one point when I just didn't believe anything could get better, and I just remember in that moment I was in my room and I was just drowning in self-pity, and I was like just hoping that, you know, my parents would see me and be like, oh, what am I doing to this poor child? But they didn't. And in fact, that day that I was like, you know, I just wanted to give up so bad, I had no belief that anything would get better, I was so hopeless, my stepmom came in, and this is like a cool traumatic memory. So I was just like on the verge of giving up, and my room was a mess, and I had something in my hands, and I was done. And she looked at me. Mind you, I was like sitting on the ground and my room was destroyed. She looked at me and she laughed. She actually laughed at me, guys. Like, who does that, right? She laughed at me and she was like, look how pathetic you are. I kid you not. So she called me pathetic and she left the room. I still remember it to this day. Now, I could have taken that two ways. I could have been like, okay, I'm leaving, guys, that's enough for me. But I got angry. I got angry. When she left that room, there was a fire, there was a spark there. Okay, I'm not gonna cry. There was a spark there. There was determination. There was delusional self-belief kicking in. I was like, like, you are not gonna sit there up there, look at me and tell me, you know, that I'm pathetic for being depressed from the abuse that you've put me through. So that was the day my fire, my spark really came from, and the delusional self-belief. And I've had that fire, that spark, that self-belief ever since that moment. So I can really reframe that situation and look at it with gratitude now, guys. But terrible situation, I'm sorry to anyone who's ever been through that, but yes, but that belief took me over the edge, and my life, guys, is proof of that. My life is proof the power of the self-belief, even though it was born in a dark moment. One, I got a really good ATAR. Okay, I don't know how I did it. So I managed to go from failing to like B pluses and A minuses. Again, that situation was also from spite, because all of the teachers started making fun of me and saying, oh, you're failing, not really considering, you know, reasons why. Love my school. Anyways, And then my friends were like, oh Jade, like I just don't know how you're gonna do it. Girl, my self-belief, my fire came back. Like, it literally activates when people don't believe in me, when people spite me, when people kick me down. I'm like, okay, let me show you what I'm made of. So I just even remember there was a moment I looked in the mirror and I said, you are either going to make history or you can go. Like, I said that to myself, and I said, you are gonna do this, we are gonna get through this. And I just kept saying that over and over and over and over again. And somehow I am here. I am out of that household. I am now completely independent. I am, you know, studying, I'm working full-time, I'm creating content, because I always believed in my potential. I always believed, you know, I could get out of this, that there was going to be a tomorrow, there's hope for me. And that belief really drove me through the darkest periods of my life. So I'm not even talking about belief, you know, as in making a new business and stuff, which is really good though. I'm talking about the self-belief you need to get through these dark periods of life, because I think more often, you know, life is terrible to all of us. And, you know, I think sometimes we sit there, how I did in that room, and we wait for someone to save us. And sometimes, you know, even that fails. And we're like, what do I do? You get up and you believe in yourself and you look in that mirror and you say, I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna make it to the next day and I will survive. You are a human being, okay? Look at the history of humanity and look at what we have survived as a collective, and tell yourself, if they can survive the plague, I can survive this. And I'm not trying to say that, you know, your situation is really difficult, like not difficult, because it is, but sometimes we need that delusion to kick in, and that's what I'm trying to hammer, is like, you can do it. You can do it. Whatever you're going through, you can do it. I went through 18 years of that. 18 years of just hardcore abuse, like humiliation, like everything you can name. Okay? And then even just recently, I was betrayed in a 3-year relationship. I'm still here. I didn't even know how to do things myself. I didn't even know how to pay bills myself. I was that codependent. I am now here paying bills, being independent. You can truly do everything and anything. You can do it. You can do it. Well, have a good day, guys.